Sunday, the 21st of January 2022. Radio do it yourself. Radio, I try to explain. I won't say I succeed. I want to ask you a question to see can I make you laugh. Why am I wearing these headphones? I'll pause now. Why am I wearing these headphones? When I come back, I'll have them off. See can you figure why I'm wearing them. Okay? Well, the question was, why was I wearing the headphones? And the answer is, to make me look intelligent. I hope that makes you smile. To make me look intelligent looking. Okay. We're dealing here with radio DIY. Everything we see around us, everything, whether it's that marker, window pane, water, smoke, it's all made of atoms. There are roughly 105 or 6 atoms. They all have an atomic number. The ones up to 26, that's iron, were made in rather minor stellar explosions, the dying pulse of a dying star like the sun. But in bigger ones, a supernova, big dying stars, they expanded out and they just ran out of energy and they collapsed in, and that bang, that momentum or the impact caused the heavier elements such as gold, lead to be made. And that's why there's less of it, because those things are less common than are the ones that do up to iron. So you have hydrogen number 1, helium with 2 electrons, and then you go right on up the whole way. You go through oxygen, copper, and up till you get to iron. Anyway, enough said there. The particles spin around the nucleus, and they spin around very fast. If you slow them down to close to 0 Kelvin, they actually kind of stop. Very hard to get that temperature, but if you get it down that low, so temperature is really the speed at which they go around. As you input heat or energy, heat particularly or electrical energy, you expand the orbitals of them, and it doesn't go this way. It doesn't expand in this fashion here. It doesn't go nicely out like that, like a man walking up a hill. It goes this way. Goes in kind of like the free wheel of a bicycle. Like goes click, 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 click. And that gives a bit of momentum. And that momentum sends out electromagnetic radiation. And electromagnetic radiation has a spectrum. And it has radio waves, and it has visible light, which is the one our eyes, marvels of nature, are designed to interpret. They see the reflected light. Something produces light, like the sun. It shines off a mountain, and we see the mountain, the reflected light, into our eyes, which is converted into electrical signals into the brain. Okay, so now, when the signal at the broadcasting station is sent out, it's sent out in the form of very high frequency waves. The mains electricity in all over Ireland is 50 hertz, 60 in America. But these are megahertz, millions of hertz. In other words, they alternate millions of times a second. Hard to comprehend. Now, the shape of the wave is like this before I altered it. You see the hump and hollow there? That's the alternating current type of wave. And the shape of that wave is the same in electrical alternating current. Now, the problem with that, if you can imagine the lines not being present in that, if there are no lines, maybe I draw it here. So this is known as a sinusoidal wave, and then if you put that through the process to try and get it into a speaker or an earphone, you can't make it into intelligible words because it has a full wave pattern. What you have to do is you have to split it. You have to cut out the lower half or the top half, it doesn't matter. You have to cut out, I might not do it too accurately, you have to cut out part of it, okay? Now, the way you cut out that, folks, is with a diode. A device which will let current flow in one direction, but won't let it flow in the other direction. I did make one here. In the case of crystal set radios, you have these wee fellows, where's the camera there? These are little diodes. You can buy these. And they're germanium diodes. and they are now a huge political thing because China has the monopoly on them, and they're needed for an awful lot of electronics. Thankfully, we can still get a few. Now, you see what I'm saying to you? The radio waves are sent out as a full wave. Now, they hit, I'm giving you a simple type of it here. They hit the aerial. I have an aerial out the window here, and I have it insulated till it gets out, and it's linked to a tree. It's about 40 meters, I think. It's a piece of steel wire. And then that's the signal is picked up on that. That signal has to form a circuit. And it won't form a circuit unless it's the Earth. The only circuit completion is the Earth. You would imagine that the waves would be absorbed by the Earth as they travel out, but no, they fill the space all around. They're only absorbed where they touch the ground locally. They're two poles. So it's like the power in your house. You have a live and a neutral, but they change regularly. They change all the time. But in any event, the aerial picks it up. Now in modern radios, this is a bit different now because they're more modern. The aerial picks it up. It sends a very, very low voltage signal into the wire. And you have to have a grounding wire to make the circuit complete. And that's by putting a wire into the ground. I have it over there, but I have to do other things as well. Now, I don't know where the wires are here. They're here anyway, probably in the corner there anyway. And that's all right. So now you have the Earth, and you have the signal coming in on the aerial. In America, it's antenna. It depends on how swanky you are. If you want me to be swanky, it's antenna. If you wanted me to be common, it's aerial. And aerial's good enough for me. I know there's a washing powder called the same. That's not my problem. Now, I don't exactly know whether in the power station it's earthed or not, but there's a natural earthing in the Earth. It's a huge big body, and when you connect a wire to it and connect a wire to the radio signal, it's enough to give you a resistance. And so the resistance comes in, and one of the things has to be done is pick it up with a coil. And here is a crystal radio set I made. I just have it up in the loft, and this is the coil I made. Oh, the whole thing fell. Wait a second now. Here is the coil I made, and I think this wire is it's on cardboard here. I think the wire is a bit heavy. I think this wire is a bit heavy, but it's ordinary, magnetic wire. Taken out of some device, probably, I don't know what, a transformer, whatever. In any event, it comes in on this. Now, there are two types of this. Oh, this is one type, and the other type is one where you have two coils, and induction brings the signal over to the second one. We'll not go there for the moment. Safe to say, my next plan, I have very fine wire. I got lovely fine wire recently, and I'm going to make another of these with less diameter and have the fine wire to see, because I think this is not sensitive enough to the signal. That doesn't mean it didn't work. So just to show it to you again here, folks, this is a while since I looked at it. Here it is. You see the coil, it's not stuck in. This lad here is to rub against the coil and get you the various stations by twisting this. Do you see that? That's the general idea, okay? Now, you have to experiment. The idea that without education, you can all get this lined up, I don't be bothered. I'd rather the fun of experimenting. So, you have your earth here, and you have your signal from the antenna here, or the aerial here, right? They come in here, and that creates induction. Now, you still need two wires. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get speakers to work, or a headphone, and a very, very simple here's it here. This one worked, so I might as well show it to you. A very, very simple one is the one you buy. There are ones marketed for this reason, for radio workshop people, and this is it. This is a very sensitive earpiece, and that's all you need. You put that in your ear there. Now, if you have no Figueres here, what you'll get here from the aerial and the Earth is a buzz, a good loud buzz, a loud buzz enough. So when you hear that buzz, you know you're receiving radio signals. Now, just to digress a little bit, there was a fella called Gamma, and one of the reasons why I tend to like the Western democracies and freedom from and try to protect it. He was in the Soviet Union and they wouldn't let him out. They wouldn't let him go to a conference. And he was big into this stuff. And him and his wife came across the Black Sea in a boat and risked their lives and got to America and was allowed to get involved with Einstein and all of these guys. And that's one of the things about the United States, maybe Britain to a lesser degree. They tend to allow people to experiment, whereas in the Soviet Union and in the early churches, you did what the government told you. They knew all, and how dare you do anything without their sanction. And that's the way it is in China as well. If you're very bright in China, they put you in a government lab, and anything you want to release, you can't do it yourself. It's done by the government. And that's why I tend not to like these are totalitarian communist regimes, but that's another day's work. In any event, he got to America and he postulated, that's a good word there now, I'm telling you, you won't get many of them. Rural Ireland postulated. He postulated the theory that there was a background radiation giving radio signals all over the universe from the Big Bang theory 13 billion years ago. This was his thing. And he tried to find it out, and somebody got there before him, and they had a radio place in somewhere, I think it was New Jersey, and they could hear this hiss, and they were trying to get this background hiss off it. And they just thought it was pigeons. There was excreting. No, people might give out to me saying dunging or whatever they were doing, but they were doing their thing anyway. And they did have a build up, and they got that clean, and the hiss was still there. And somebody else spotted what it was. It was background radio waves from the Big Bang, and the atoms were destructed in the Big Bang, and they sent out these waves. So he didn't get the Nobel Prize. Somebody else got it. It was a pity, really. But in any event, when in the old black and white television sets, when you turn off everything, when there was no stations broadcasting at 2 in the morning, say you left it on all night or you came into a house where it was on, there'd be snowflakes all over the screen. That's not now a test card and all that. Nowadays, I think there's nearly all of something on it, but there'd be snowflakes, little dots all over the place. That was background radiation from the creation of the universe. Isn't that unbelievable? That still can be seen with a black and white television. It never stops. It can't be got rid of. It can be filtered out, all right, in radio sets and television sets and all of that. But it's evidence of something happened a long time ago. Now, when the signal comes in, folks, where did I got my thing here? When the signal comes in, you have to cut out the bottom part, and that's done by a germanium diode. And I have the diodes here. What I do? This is the loudspeaker. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to convert the electromagnetic radiation into magnetic field, an alternating or a changing magnetic field, so that it will resonate in the earpiece. So these are the little germanium diodes, and I did a video on where they can be sourced. They're not too expensive. A little piece of germanium in them, and this is a hot topic at the moment, hard to get. So your signal comes in, you pick it up on you need some type of a coil to pick it up. But would you believe it? I received a signal with no coil at all. Whatever way I happened to do the wires, it was picking up, I think, Shannonside Northern Sound, which would be the nearest broadcaster to where I am, local radio. And I remember one Sunday night, I got a gospel session. This would be an evangelical gospel session, and there was a lady explaining how Jesus, God bless his name, he lightened up her life so much. And so that I got that on all right. Now, sometimes it'd work with this, and sometimes it wouldn't. But essentially, by tapping this here, you can get the various stations. In theory, not necessarily in reality. And just give you a look at this here now at the back. See, it's a bit dusty. It was up in the attic. You see that there? So, in theory, you could twist this fella and change the station. See that? Now, Another product that's often fitted into these is a capacitor, a variable capacitor, and you can make them. I haven't managed to get success with them. So just to explain to you again, the signal comes through the air from the broadcasting station, don't know where it is, somewhere in Ireland anyway, it's not too far away, and I pick it up here on the aerial outside, and I have a ground, and the potential between the two is an alternating current in the form of a buzz, which can be easily heard on this very sensitive earpiece made for the purpose. And the signal is then taken down here and put through a diode, a germanium diode, and it's in that circle there. You can't really see it. It's not really dickied up much. Please understand that. But you put one of the legs of it through the germanium diode, and that cuts out the unwanted part of the electromagnetic wave and gives you the other part. And that other part will cause the magnetic variation you need in the wire. Another thing that goes into it is a resistance. Sometimes they say you need a resistance to counter out some of the over. So if you have this here, at the top you might have too much power, and at the bottom here you haven't enough. So it kind of smooths this out, the resistance here. I haven't had much success with it, and I found it didn't work. This is all work in progress. I am a busy man. But in any event now, just to explain, if you have a capacitor, and you can make a capacitor with a round object like this, like the inside of a, do you know when you buy the parchment paper for cooking, even the paper, the roll that tin foil comes in, you can make a capacitor with them. A capacitor is two plates. You wrap one around the other like this. You wrap it right around, and they don't have to be touching. The electrons jump across, and that will help you to get the station going. And that, as I say, is work in progress. Now, it must be remembered, in real radio, the little weak signal is fed into an amplifier, and that would change everything. If you can use an amplifier, you get radio proper. The problem is you need a battery. This here needs no battery. And that's the thing. And during the wars, they had what they called foxhole radios, and they couldn't get germanium diodes. Some of the troops were issued with them, but they could get a razor for shaving your face, a Gillette or a Wilkinson sword razor, and using the lead of a pencil, touching it, you could pare it down, and there were certain points in the lead where it only let the current flow one way. It was a carbon lead, graphite really, wasn't it? Yeah, we call it the lead. It was graphite, and you could pare it down, and at a certain point it would act as a diode. That was known as a foxhole radio. Now, I don't know how I explained it enough. There are diagrams there. In theory, folks, the signal comes in, the potential between the two, one goes here and the other goes to the diode, and the power is put through the coil, and the coil can be tapped at various points along here to get the station you want. Hasn't been just too successful with me, but by pure coincidence, this full coil appears to work with the local Shannonside Northern Sound. And in fact, I think this is too strong. In fact, if you'd done away with the coil altogether, I was able to get certain things. Anyway, I explained it now. The diode does that business. The wee resistor is said to be needed. And after that, you don't need very much, and you don't need a battery. Anyway, I got this one night, religious program, and I could hear it. And so it had worked. But I'd never really received any real news. And this Sunday, it was in April, Tyrone were playing Fermanagh in is it Healy Park in Omagh? In a park in Omagh. And they were playing Gaelic football. And there was a fellow called Conor McGregor playing for Tyrone, and Tyrone won that day. Now, please don't turn this into a football know-how. I'm not Jimmy McGee. Anyway, I looked out the window. I was out in the house, and I saw my cattle had come down, and I didn't want them in the field. I was starting to get the field ready for silage, and some way I'd left the gate open. It was no panic, but I walked out, and it was dry, and I walked out in my boots, and I walked up to the gate and shut the gate and put them out. And just as was above, down come a downpour of April shower, and it wet me right through down to the shoes. So there was nothing for it when I came in, only changed my clothes. And I came up here to start that process, and I just happened to say, I'll try the radio when I'm wet. And the thing is, the radio, a human body, is better than an antenna. It's better than an aerial. Whatever is about a human body, it's better than an aerial. I remember years ago being up on top of the house at home, and my mother was in, God be good to her, was in watching the black and white television, and the idea was to adjust the aerial and twist the various aerials around to get the signals for RTE and UTV and BBC. And my father went out in the yard, and I was up on the roof, and I was a hardy fella. I'd jump up on a roof, no problem. And he was shouting up at me. So my mother would say, good. He'd say, good, go another bit, and I'd adjust it. But anyway, we got it adjusted. But the problem was I was touching it, and they were saying, it's perfect, leave it there. But what I was trying to say to them, it meant me staying up there the whole winter. I nearly got into a row over it, because the human body is really good for the signal. So I came in, and I decided I was wet, but it wasn't too cold. Oh, I'm going to have to change, get a cup of tea and all that, And I went over to the radio, and I put the thing in my ear, and I touched the wire here, and God, it came on. And it was the announcer for the football match in Omagh. I'd say it was Shannonside, Northern South. I never could hear the announcing of what radio station, but I'd say it was. In any event, he was belting out the football match. Oh, score there. Oh, wide over the end line and wide over the end line and wide out. Kicks in, referees are every. Next thing was, Conor McKenna. He was a Tyrone footballer. Has been, the referee's gone over. Is he going to produce a yellow card? Is it a red card? Will he send him off? He sent him off. Red card. Conor McKenna is sent off. And very shortly after that, the whole thing left. I lost the whole damn thing. But when I got myself dried off and fixed up, I checked. I even bought the paper the next day, and sure enough, Conor McKenna was sent off for some, don't ask me what, doesn't matter. It was controversial. So I had got a bit of concrete, actual, real news on my Crystal Set radio. And that, to me, enabled me to make a video, which I did that time, claiming it worked. I had achieved the receipt of an intelligible, accurate signal of real news on my earphone. The earphone turns the electrical signal, the magnetic pulse signal, into vibration. So you know how a speaker works. It shakes the diaphragm, and it causes that to resonate with your ear, to vibrate in your ear, and your ear receives that up and then converts it back again. So there's a whole lot of conversions. Like, you have the signal leaving the transmitting station, traveling through the air as a wave or a particle, not go there, being picked up as a voltage in the aerial, having a potential against the earth. Then it's come in and it's processed through the coil to get it a bit, separate out the stations, and have this fella here on it to divide out the stations, or a capacitor, which we might do again. And then it comes through, the diode cuts out half of the signal, and the other half, maybe with a little bit of a resistor to smooth it out, causes an electrical magnetic electrical signal to go into a little wee coil in there, and that causes the diaphragm to vibrate, and the vibrating diaphragm causes the diaphragm of your ear to vibrate, and that diaphragm converts to an electrical signal in your ear and sends that electrical signal to your brain. That's the way it works. It's amazing. It's amazing. But in any event, folks, I just give it here. I don't know, well, I might do a finer wire. I think the problem with all this is that it's too rough, it's too coarse. The radio signal, I'm going to make a very, very smaller one with real fine wire. I have the wire got. There, it's there anyway. It's there for what it's worth, folks. And I hope that was interesting to you. It all comes from the disruption of the particles, or whatever it is, in the orbitals of the electrons. And it's amazing, they can propagate. I mean, they're getting signals from the Voyager spacecraft. Couldn't even quantify the distance. It comes from the moon as well, according to what they say, but certainly a signal sent out in New York will come here. with a very tiny delay because it's limited by the speed of light. I hope I've explained that. If there are any questions about it, I did a video somewhere there how where to get these things. I don't think you're going to bother. I don't think anyone's going to bother. And I think maybe I will upload this maybe on Rumble. It's a bit long for YouTube. Maybe I won't. Maybe people might like it. I should have said at the beginning, unless you're really interested, don't bother. But anyway, we're about more than just giving out about the state of the world. We're about a bit of fun and a wee bit of the appliance of science. Give me a thumbs up, folks, or a thumbs up. I don't know. No one ever gives this like this a thumbs down. I just comment underneath, say that's interesting or whatever. And sure, we'll see you back for something soon. Thank you.